Be aware of your surroundings, lock your doors, and maybe think twice about that next night out at the bar. Because tonight, we're diving into a disappearance that defies logic, where security cameras that were meant to provide answers only deepen the mystery. Picture this. It's 2006 in Columbus, Ohio. A promising young medical student walks into a crowded college bar on a Friday night. Security footage shows him going up an escalator, hanging out with friends, and even talking to some girls near closing time. But then, he vanishes. Not just metaphorically, he literally disappears without a trace. The cameras that caught him walking in, they never caught him walking out. Not through the main entrance, not through the emergency exit, not anywhere. What happened to Brian Shaffer on that March night? How does someone simply disappear from a building with limited exits, all under the watchful eye of security cameras? Was it foul play? Did he want to vanish? Or is there something even more sinister at play? Today, we're going to walk you through one of the most baffling missing persons cases of the 21st century. We'll examine every theory, every piece of evidence, and every strange detail that has left investigators scratching their heads for over 15 years. This is the story of the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. But before we dive in, if this is your first time here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what we have coming up next. Now, let's get into it.
On a chilly spring evening in Columbus, Ohio, 27-year-old medical student Brian Shaffer stepped into the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a popular bar near Ohio State University's campus. It was March 31st, 2006, a typical Friday night filled with the promise of celebration and relaxation. Little did anyone know that this would be the last time Brian would ever be seen, becoming one of the most perplexing missing persons cases in modern history. The last known hours. Brian's day had started normally enough. As a second-year medical student at Ohio State University, he was accustomed to long hours of study and the occasional need to decompress. The previous week had been particularly challenging, as he had just returned from a spring break trip to Miami with his girlfriend Alexis Wagoner. The couple had discussed marriage, and their future seemed bright with possibility. That Friday, Brian had lunch with his father, Randy Shaffer, at a local restaurant. They talked about Brian's upcoming plans, his medical career, and his relationship with Alexis. Randy later recalled that his son seemed happy and optimistic. There were no red flags, no signs of distress that might have hinted at what was to come. The night began when Brian met his friend William Clint Florence at the Ugly Tuna Saloona around 9:15 p.m. The bar, situated in a complex called South Campus Gateway, was a popular hangout for Ohio State students. Security cameras captured Brian, wearing a green short-sleeved polo shirt and jeans, ascending the escalator to the second-floor establishment. Throughout the evening, Brian and Clint bar-hopped, eventually returning to the Ugly Tuna Saloona. At approximately 1:15 a.m. on April 1st, Brian was seen outside the bar talking to two young women. He appeared to be saying goodbye to them and then turned back toward the bar's entrance. This would be the last confirmed sighting of Brian Shaffer. The initial search. When Brian failed to show up for a planned lunch with Alexis the next day, concern began to mount. His cell phone was going straight to voicemail, and none of his friends had heard from him. By Monday, when he missed an important medical school exam, it was clear something was seriously wrong. The Columbus Police Department launched an investigation, meticulously reviewing security footage from the Ugly Tuna Saloona and surrounding businesses. What they found, or rather, what they didn't find, would only deepen the mystery. While cameras clearly showed Brian entering the bar that final time, there was no footage of him leaving. The Ugly Tuna Saloona had only two exits, the main entrance and an emergency fire escape that would have triggered an alarm if used. Both exits were covered by security cameras, yet Brian never appeared on any of the footage leaving the premises. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. A complex investigation detective, John Hurst, who led the investigation, found himself confronted with a seemingly impossible scenario. Every person who entered or left the bar that night was accounted for on camera, except Brian. The police reviewed hours of footage multiple times, but the result was always the same. Brian Shaffer had disappeared without a trace. The investigation expanded to include interviews with everyone present at the bar that night, including staff members and patrons. Clint Florence, Brian's friend who was with him that evening, hired a lawyer and declined to take a polygraph test, though police emphasized he was not a suspect. This decision would later fuel speculation and theories about what might have happened. The bar itself was thoroughly searched, including air ducts, false ceilings, and other possible hiding places. Cadaver dogs were brought in, but no evidence of foul play was discovered. The surrounding area was combed for any sign of Brian, but nothing substantive was found. Personal context. To understand the full impact of Brian's disappearance, it's important to consider his personal circumstances at the time. He was excelling in medical school, following in his father's footsteps in the healthcare field. His relationship with Alexis was serious, and friends described them as practically engaged. There seemed to be no reason for him to voluntarily disappear. However, Brian had experienced significant personal loss in the weeks leading up to his disappearance. His mother, Renee Shaffer, had died of cancer the previous month. While he was undoubtedly still grieving, those close to him said he was coping well and looking forward to the future. The theory of hidden passages. One theory that emerged during the investigation centered on the building's construction. The South Campus Gateway complex was relatively new at the time, and some speculated that there might be maintenance corridors or hidden passages unknown to the general public. However, extensive searches of the building's infrastructure yielded no evidence supporting this theory. Digital footprint investigators also examined Brian's digital footprint. His cell phone records showed no activity after he was last seen. His credit cards were never used again, and his bank accounts remained untouched. In the age of increasing digital surveillance, Brian's complete disappearance from all systems was particularly striking. His MySpace page, which was active at the time, showed no suspicious activity in the days leading up to his disappearance. Friends and family reported no concerning changes in his online behavior or communication patterns. The Pearl Jam connection. A peculiar detail that emerged during the investigation was Brian's passion for Pearl Jam. He had tickets to an upcoming Pearl Jam concert and was extremely excited about attending. Some speculated that he might surface at the concert, but he never appeared. The band's lead singer, Eddie Vedder, even made an appeal during a concert in Cincinnati for any information about Brian's whereabouts. Further tragedy. In September 2008, about 2.5 years after Brian's disappearance, tragedy struck the Shaffer family again. Randy Shaffer, Brian's father, was killed when a branch fell on him during a storm. He died never knowing what happened to his son, having spent the intervening years tirelessly searching for answers. Theories and speculations over the years, numerous theories have emerged about what might have happened to Brian Shaffer. Here are some of the most prominent: voluntary disappearance. Some speculate that Brian might have deliberately chosen to start a new life somewhere else. However, this theory seems unlikely given his promising future in medicine, his relationship with Alexis, and the fact that he left behind all his possessions and identification. Foul play. Others believe Brian might have met with foul play, either in the bar or shortly after leaving it. The lack of evidence of his exit from the bar lends some credence to this theory, though no physical evidence of violence has ever been found. Accidental death. There's a possibility that Brian might have suffered an accident somewhere in or around the bar, perhaps in an area not covered by cameras. However, extensive searches of the premises and surrounding area never revealed any evidence supporting this theory. The construction theory. Some investigators have suggested that Brian might have fallen into a construction area or maintenance space within the building. While the building was searched thoroughly, supporters of this theory argue that there might be areas that were overlooked. The impact on missing persons cases. Brian Shaffer's disappearance has become a landmark case in missing persons investigations, particularly those involving surveillance footage. It highlights both the capabilities and limitations of security cameras in solving disappearances and has influenced how similar cases are investigated. The case has also raised important questions about safety in entertainment districts and the responsibility of establishments to monitor their premises. The Ugly Tuna Saloon has since closed, but the mystery of what happened within its walls continues to intrigue investigators and true crime enthusiasts alike. Modern developments. In recent years, advances in technology have led to new attempts to solve the case. Digital enhancement of the security footage has been attempted, and social media has helped keep the case in the public eye. However, no significant breakthroughs have emerged. The Columbus Police Department maintains an open file on the case, and Detective Hurst has stated that it remains one of the most puzzling investigations of his career. The department still receives tips about Brian's disappearance, though none have led to concrete answers. The legacy. Brian Shaffer's disappearance has left an indelible mark on both the Columbus community and the wider world of true crime investigation. It serves as a reminder that even in our modern age of surveillance and technology, it's still possible for someone to vanish without a trace. His case has been featured on numerous true crime shows and podcasts, keeping his story alive and potentially reaching someone who might have information about what happened that night. The mystery has also inspired discussions about safety measures in bars and nightclubs, and the importance of maintaining functional security systems. Alexis Wagoner, Brian's girlfriend at the time, has since moved on with her life, though she has stated in interviews that the not knowing continues to haunt her. Brian's brother, Derek, remains active in keeping his brother's case in the public eye and continues to hope for answers. The questions that remain. More than 15 years after Brian Shaffer's disappearance, many questions remain unanswered. How did he leave the Ugly Tuna Saloon without being captured on camera? What role, if any, did the recent loss of his mother play in the events of that night? Why has no trace of him, physical or digital, ever been found? What does his friend Clint Florence know about that night? And why has he refused to take a polygraph test? These questions continue to perplex investigators and fascinate those who follow the case. The disappearance of Brian Shaffer remains one of the most mysterious missing persons cases of the 21st century, a reminder that sometimes people can vanish without leaving behind any clues to their fate. If you found this exploration of Brian Shaffer's disappearance intriguing, please consider subscribing to our channel for more in-depth true crime investigations. Don't forget to like this video and leave a comment with your theories about what might have happened to Brian. Remember, even years later, new information can emerge in cold cases. Someone watching might have the key to solving this enduring mystery. If you have any information about Brian Shaffer's disappearance, please contact the Columbus Police Department's Missing Persons Unit at 614-645-4624. Even the smallest detail could be the breakthrough needed to finally solve this case. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll explore another perplexing mystery from the archives of true crime history. Remember to hit that notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. Your support helps us continue to shine a light on these important stories, and maybe, just maybe, help bring closure to families still searching for answers.